I'd like to call to order a Board of Directors meeting of the Syracuse Industrial Development Agency. We'll start with a roll call of the board members. I'm Kathy Murphy.
Ricky Brown.
Ken Kinsey.
Dirk Sonneborn.
Steve Thompson.
Thank you all very much. Proof of notice was properly served and posted. Before we start, well, actually, next item. So on our next item, which is a public hearing scheduled for project known as Hidden Level, we will be holding that hearing today at the request of the applicant in consult with their team as they are finishing their financing details.
And by holding, you mean postponing, not
Okay,
holding.
whatever
You're not
legally
holding
I'm
it.
supposed to. Oh, right, I mean, whatever the lawyer said.
The legalese.
With anticipation that, you know, the project will be noticed for, we will hear it hopefully at our next meeting. So that takes care of that on the agenda. Next item is the minutes of our last Board of Directors meeting held December 17th, 2024, which were included in our packet. Are there any comments, discussion items, changes? If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I would move that.
Thank you, Dirk.
Second.
Second, Ricky. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you. The Finance Committee report I will give very quickly. We held a Finance Committee meeting on,
January 16th.
thank you, January 16th, and we thoroughly reviewed the Hidden Level project as well as the Post project, which we will hear a little bit more about today. Both projects were recommended for positive consideration for the Board of Directors. Additionally, we had our very first QuickBooks report, which was exciting for us, let me just say. And
Should we take a vote on that, whether it was everybody or?
it was everybody. It was everybody. Wasn't perfect, I'll admit, but it was a good start. And a review of our interim financials. Anything anybody wants to add to that? Did I miss anything, Eric? If not, that's the Finance Committee report. We're up to new business. First item was Hidden Level, that's postponed. Next item, McGuire Family Partnership, Sue.
Good morning, everyone. In your agenda is a resolution seeking approval of a change in ownership structure for McGuire. As you may recall, we closed this transaction in 2020. This is the car dealership over on Hiawatha. The name under which they originally closed with us was McGuire Family Limited Partnership. Back in November, they made a change to convert their partnership into a limited liability company. All of the original partners became members of the LLC. All the parties are the same. It was just a corporate restructuring, if you will. And so this resolution is seeking to approve that change effective November of 2024 and to authorize us to execute and deliver any amendment documents to reflect the name change.
Questions, comments, concerns?
Do you know whether there were personal guarantees involved under the LLP or the partnership versus no guarantees that would have?
Not for us. None of that affects us. Our stuff is not guaranteed in that way. They did refinance recently, and the lender approved this change in transaction, so I assume that they are pleased with or the collateral given for the loan.
I'd recommend, I'd move the resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, 101 North Salina Street, Sue.
This is, in your agenda is a resolution to appoint yourself as lead agency for purposes of undertaking a seeker review. This, as you may recall, is the project that we are looking at over at the Post Standard building. It is the build-out of some additional space that was not utilized in the original build-out, and they are looking to convert it into apartments. So this is just a preliminary resolution letting us undertake seeker.
Comments, questions, concerns? Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Ricky to approve. Second, Ken. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. See you later, Charlie. Next item on the agenda, 366 West Onondaga Street. Eric.
Good morning. So this is a new request that has been brought before the agency for the first step, which would be to consider and authorize a public hearing that would be held at a later date for a project at 366 West Onondaga Street. This is a longtime vacant blighted residential mansion, locally it's known as the Whedon House. The proposal in the project would be to convert and adapt the building into a mixed-use development, which would include, it's a three-story mansion property, so the top floor would have 4 studio apartments, in addition to commercial space on the ground, the bottom 2 levels. This would be, it's approximately about a $3 million redevelopment project, has been proposed. This is actually owned currently by the Syracuse Land Bank. It will be sold for redevelopment, and actually the land bank will plan to move its offices into the ground floor of this building once it is fully redeveloped.
That greenhouse?
It is, yeah. It's got, this is 300 block of West Onondaga Street. Yeah, very, very close to West Street. So if you know where the West Street intersection is, and then
Right
there's,
before you get to West Street?
correct, yep. And then there's Express Market, that is right at the corner, and then just one parcel in to the north. That's 366 West Onondaga. So been
Pretty
vacant.
good sized place there.
Yeah, it's about 9,000 square feet, so it's been vacant for a very long time. The location of this project is almost centered around the city's DRI effort, which is the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. That has been, about several years ago, the state awarded funding for the West Onondaga corridor for South Ave. This is one of those kind of marquee projects along that corridor that the DRI program has invested in. So in addition to the support they're having both with state funds, the city's been working closely with the project team. They're now coming before the IDA seeking financial assistance. The goal would be to move forward with the project in 2025 and break ground, and they've been already submitted for documents to city permitting and zoning. So we'll hear more, and we'll have the opportunity to hear directly from the applicant. This would be that first step to undertake the public hearing for the project.
You got a price on the project?
It's about over $3 million for the full. And just to be able to restore both the interior, the exterior, they have a full plan to beautify the exterior and the grounds of the building as well.
Is that like historic or?
Should be.
So they'll be pursuing historic tax credits for the project. Yep.
Eric, did you mention who the developer or who the partner is with?
Yes, so the entity itself, the applicant is 366 West Onondaga Street LLC. However, it's Hanover Development. It's 2 partners, Luke Esposito, as well as Chris LaBerge are the 2 partners on this project.
Who, Mark? Luke?
Right?
Yeah, Luke. Yeah, in Hanover, Luke has done several projects, particularly in the downtown area, but he's been a part of other developments that the IDA has undertaken as well. If you're familiar with 538 Erie Boulevard West, where Home Headquarters had their office for several years, that was a project we were a part of. Luke was one of the developer investors on that project as well. So Hanover Development is, I'm going to say, relatively new. He's had the company for several years, and this is one of several projects that he's currently undertaking.
Be a nice touch, sandwiching between the Pathfinder, who renovated that building. Jubilee Homes has a project in between there, and then this.
Right in the next block.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a good, and Pathfinder is a great example of kind of adaptive mansions, and you take these large, vacant, underutilized mansions, converting, and so we'll learn a lot more, but we think this is a really interesting project.
Eric, did Dr. Reed, remember he was looking at one a little farther down?
Yep,
Did
so
anything ever materialize with that one?
Still having conversations with him because the fact the land bank actually has several properties that they still own that are still actively available for sale on the West Onondaga corridor, and that was an individual who was looking at some of those properties.
Yeah, that was another
Yep.
big size
Eric,
house.
$3 million
money,
seems
though.
like a small amount for projects that we see come into SIDA.
One of the things that we will always do is we look to make sure the actual benefits that are potentially being requested would outweigh the costs, the typical fees that the IDA would undertake. So in looking at that analysis, this project would benefit. It's a smaller scale project, so it's a great point. But between the sales tax exemptions on purchasing and then just because of the fact it qualifies for our historic pilot, essentially it's worthwhile for the project team. What they've communicated, it's worthwhile for them to come before the IDA. Great. Yep.
Any other questions, comments? concerns? If not, is there a motion to approve the resolution for a public hearing?
Make a motion.
Thank you, Ricky. Second? Second, Ken. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is an authorization of a resolution to have a public hearing for Syracuse Lodging Associates. Eric?
So similarly to the last item we discussed, this is a request to authorize a public hearing for a new project, but one that is more recently now has become, the community has become more aware of. This is a proposal to develop a new hotel hospitality development on the current Lemp Park site. So as the agency is aware, this is a site that is owned by the Industrial Development Agency. The project proposal in and of itself, which was just recently announced, also incorporates the adjacent Warren Street garage, which the developer currently has under contract. So the proposal would be for approximately a 240-room Hilton-branded hotel. Project would essentially look to demolish the existing parking garage as is, look to do a full new development that incorporates both the 3 parcels that make up Lemp Park in addition to the garage next door. There will be a 300-space parking facility built into the project as well. So this actually will net increase the number of spaces right now because the Warren Street garage is largely condemned. You can only park on the first level of the building right now. And one of the things is, in addition to sales tax, mortgage recording, and a pilot request, there's also a request for the agency to consider issuing tax-exempt bonds, which is also something that we would talk about as part of the project. And similarly, we would have a public hearing. We'll have the opportunity to really ask and provide greater insight from the development team. But the project continues to move forward. Recently, they've been able to share conceptual drawings, plans, continuing to work on right now, just securing and developing all their financing. And the goal would be, again, to, as a next step, authorize that public hearing. The IDA would also then formally have to approve the sale and transfer of the parcels. However, based on an RFP process that the agency undertook, of the bidders that submitted, this was the project that was selected, of course, through that RFP process. So we are continuing to move forward with the development team. We've come to final terms in terms of the agreement and the sale, and would look to continue. Next steps which would be to undertake the project if the board is supportive.
Those of you unable to attend, I will just note, Ricky was there if he has anything to add. The mayor and the county executive and the applicant had a very nice press conference announcing the project on Friday, which I think was very well received, and the article was certainly flattering and complimentary to what will transform, we believe, will be transformation in that block and Warren Street. So, all in all, pretty exciting. Any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the resolution for a public hearing on the project?
Make a motion.
Ricky? Second, Ken. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you. I have nothing further for the Board of Directors of SIDA. Anyone else have any other items to discuss, concerns? Sue, Eric? We good?
250 Harrison, the project at 250 Harrison will be closing by the end of this week.
Great. Nice to see that one starting. That's good. Eric, you good?
Yes. Yes.
Lori, good? Everybody good? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Ricky. Second, Ken. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstention, we are adjourned. Don't go.
SLBC.
I will now ask, call to order, as soon as I find the agenda. Here we go.
We have to go back. Can you reopen the meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just for a minute.
Sure we can.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
Hi,
okay.
David.
And
We're reopening the meeting?
Yes, for
Is
just
there a
1 second.
motion to open the Board of Directors meeting of the Syracuse Industrial Development Agency? this
I'll make a
morning?
motion.
Motion made by Ken, I'm just gonna
Second.
trade. Second, Ricky, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Sue, the floor is yours.
So We apologize. Under Syracuse Lodging, in addition to authorizing the public hearing, there was also a lead agency resolution, and we just want to make sure
Good
that that
catch.
gets adopted. I didn't
Yep.
catch it, Lori did, because, you know, it's
Thank God
Lori.
for Lori.
Right. So if we would consider moving
yep.
the request for a lead agency resolution, so we could undertake seeker.
As a separate motion, is there a motion to consider the industrial development agency to act as lead agent for purposes of seeker review on the Syracuse Lodging Associates project?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Ricky. Second, Ken. Questions, comments, concerns? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries.
You have to.
Yep. Are we done?
We're
We're
now
done.
done. Yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
So moved by Ken, second by Ricky. All in favor? Opposed, abstention, motion carries. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now, okay, I lost my. Okay. I would like to call to order a meeting of the Syracuse Local Development Corporation by calling the roll call of the board. I'm Kathy Murphy.
Steve Thompson. Dirk Sonneborn.
Ricky Brown.
All are present and accounted for so far. Proof of notice was properly served for this meeting. We are commencing at 8:17 a.m. The purpose of the meeting is the discussion of the organizational budget for 2025. Eric.
Good morning. So the sole item that we have for consideration with the board for today would be, as a public authority, we are requesting for the SLDC board to approve the proposed 2025 organizational budget. So a copy of the budget was provided as part of the packet. One of the things to note is right now, at the moment, the Local Development Corporation has seen very little activity in recent years. I know that's something that we've discussed as a corporation in the past. As part of the proposed budget, we have our general operating expenses that typically are undertaken by the corporation. That normally would include general legal fees for any legal items involving our legal counsel, as well as insurance that's typically held by the corporation for directors and officers insurance. Those items make up the large bulk of the expenses that are being proposed. You'll see currently at the moment, there's minimal revenue proposed of $4, which is typically just generally interest that the corporation is able to collect as part of its bank accounts. But we are looking at approximately a net loss of $3,000 this year based on if this, again, based on our forecasting, we don't anticipate to see any additional projects at the moment. We still do have, recently there's been progress and momentum made on the Kraus bonds when the emergency room facility was originally developed, which is the one project that the LDC had undertaken several years ago. But as we continue to really look and identify what the long-term plan would be for the Local Development Corporation, currently we have approximately $10,000 in accounts unrestricted that is cash on hand. So the funds are there in light of the operating loss of approximately $3,000. But this proposed budget would be forecasting that approximate net loss based on limited activity that we're forecasting for this year.
As a reminder to the board, Mike Lasan, our CPA who does the annual audit for both agencies, the LDC and the IDA, tried last year to get permission, if that's the right word, from the state regarding the filing, the required audit and filing, which is our largest expense, usually the $3,000 that we're talking about today in expenses, which is required by the state of New York, a full audit, certified, blah, blah, blah. He asked, since there was such little activity for several years now, if we could do a sort of shortened version or something else to accommodate that wouldn't be a full CPA accounting, blah, blah. We were denied and told, no, we have to comply and do it. So hence, here we are approving, and we will, I hope next month, be approving the engagement contract for Grossman St. Amour or our accountants to undertake the audit for the IDA as well as the LDC.
Ask Mike to approach them
we could, sure.
Somebody else answers the phone.
Yeah.
Maybe you could
Yep.
better answer.
Eric, refresh my memory, what are the assets that the LDC has?
It's approximately $10,000 in cash that's unrestricted, and then there really, the corporation itself really doesn't hold any other assets.
I missed you saying something about Kraus. What was that? Maybe that's what I missed.
So previously, when the first and sole project that the LDC has undertaken involved the issuance of bonds, tax-exempt bonds for the establishment of the new, the expansion at the time of the ER, Emergency Room for Kraus. And those bonds, which more recently, those bonds had actually been directly refinanced. And so that was ultimately something where the LDC, and Sue, I don't know if you want to speak to this more, the LDC, that is still, at the end of the day, the sole project that the local development corporation has undertaken. And so we don't hold any assets directly related to those bonds itself. We were the issuer. But aside from that, it is basically simply the corporation has been operating off of the fees that were collected from that project.
And we would need to keep the entity, the LDC, because of the relationship with those bonds? I guess my question is, could we dissolve the corporation at this point?
I think you could. I don't know that that would be in your best interest.
Sound like a lawyer to me.
There we go. And the lawyer speaks. I don't know who caused that. I'm going to say Dirk did.
It's all my fault.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the operational budget for 2025 for the Syracuse Local Development Corporation?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Ricky, second by Ken. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Any other business that we need to address? Sue, Eric, Lori? No. Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second, Ken. All in favor? Opposed, abstention, motion carries.
All right.
That's it, folks. Thank you so very much, everyone. Short this meeting.